Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us at the Main Ingredients Bread of Life Devotionals. I can't think of a better way than to start our week off than to get into the Word. We're continuing through our series in the book of Romans titled What to Believe and How to Behave. Today's devotional is coming from Romans 4, verse 18 through 22. Romans chapter 4, verse 18 through 22. And it says, even when there was no reason for hope, Abraham kept hoping, believing that he would become the father of many nations. For God had said to him, that's how many descendants you will have. And Abraham's faith did not weaken, even though at about 100 years of age, he figured his body was as good as dead. And so was Sarah's womb. Abraham never wavered in believing God's promise. In fact, his faith grew stronger. And in this, he brought glory to God. He was fully convinced that God is able to do whatever he promised. And because of Abraham's faith, God counted him as righteous. I just want to ask a question real quick. Do you really believe, or are you convinced that God is able to do whatever he promised? Now, have you ever been told anything you put your mind to, you can achieve? If you believe it, you can be it. Now, what they were telling you and I is what we believe matters. Before we do anything in this life, we must first believe we can do it. We must be convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are capable of achieving whatever we set out to do. Most often, when we set out to do something without the confidence we can do it, we fail. I mean, that's just how it is. So it's not the work that convinces us, it's the belief. Abraham is our example of faith in action. Before Abraham did anything, he believed. God made Abraham a promise, and Abraham believed in that promise. Abraham believed God before he went to the land that God would show him. Abraham believed God before he led Isaac to the place to be sacrificed. Abraham believed God before he circumcised himself and others. Abraham's belief in God convinced God of his righteousness. What Abraham believed mattered to God. It became the proof of his faith and trust in God. What Abraham did because of his belief was an example of his faith in action. God made Abraham a promise, and he believed that promise. What we believe matters. We must believe that when God makes a promise, it shall come to pass, whether on this side of heaven or the other side. It may not come like we think it should. It may not come when we think it should. It may not come how we think it should, but it shall come to pass. Sometimes we get impatient and delay the promise by taking matters into our own hands. We go from belief to work. We step outside of trusting God and start trusting in our own abilities, our own strength, and our own might. Sometimes we end up with Ishmael when God promised in Isaac. Sometimes we settle for Ishmael when God promised in Isaac. Abraham did it, and you and I do it as well. Abraham never doubted that God would fulfill his promise. His life was marked by mistakes, yes, so is ours. His life was marked by sins, yes, so is ours. His life was marked by failures, yes, so is ours. But his life was also marked by wisdom and godliness, and so can ours. He consistently trusted God. What we believe matters, and what we do out of what we believe, putting our faith in action. My prayer is that you and I would be truly convinced that God is able to do whatever he says he will do, according to his eternal promise. At the Main Ingredient, we're setting the table for transformation.